Hey guys, club football is finally back after the interesting international break. And when you take a look at the games that are going to be taking place today, discover that La Liga match day 4 is going to start today. Bundesliga match day 3 is going to start today. Ligue 1 match day 4 is going to start today. And tomorrow Saturday, Serie A match day 3 is going to start. Premier League match day 4 is going to start. Before these games, you guys have to bear in mind that the UEFA Champions League is set to start on Tuesday, so you guys should prepare well for this weekend, because immediately after the games, the UEFA Champions League is set to start on Tuesday, and the first UEFA Champions League is going to be that of Arsenal versus Atletico Bilbao. But that is not the interest of this video. This video is just to break down all the games that are going to be taking place this weekend from the Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, and Ligue 1. So if you are coming across my YouTube channel for your very first time, I will just invite you to stay patient, watch the video carefully to the end, and tell me what you think about these games that are going to be taking place this weekend. And most importantly, you give me your own predictions for these games that are going to be taking place this weekend. When you take a look at the games that are going to be taking place today, Friday, you discover that there is just one La Liga game that is going to be taking place today. Remember, it is already La Liga match day 4. The first match after the international break is going to be that of Sevilla versus Elche. It is going to be a game not to miss, because it is, like I said, when that's the first international break of every football season. Immediately after the international break, that is when the season officially starts. Remember, when you take a look at the games, right, the first 3 games before the international break, the games were somehow we type Real Madrid won 3 of their 3 games, Villarreal won 3 of their 3 games. When you take a look at the Premier League, only Liverpool alone won 3 of their 3 games. Take a look at Ligue 1, PSG won 3 of their 3 games, Lyon won 3 of their 3 games. So this is going to be a weekend where nobody should miss any game, because it is the first weekend after the international break, right? Like I said, Sevilla versus Elche is going to be the first La Liga game of match day 4, and it is the only game that is going to be played today, Friday. And then when you take a look at the Bundesliga, the first Bundesliga game of match day 3 is going to be that of Bayer Leverkusen versus Frankfurt. Remember, during the international break, Erik ten Hag was fired as Bayer Leverkusen head coach. So Bayer Leverkusen is going to play this game with their new head coach, and it is a game must win for them, because they are still to win a game this season. The first game they played against Hoffenheim, where they dropped all this, like they suffered a defeat in that game home. The second game they played against Werder Bremen, where they shared points, and this game today against Frankfurt is a game must win for Bayer Leverkusen. Now when you take a look at Ligue 1 match day 4 is Ligue 1 match day 4 is also going to kick off today, and it is going to be the game of Marseille versus Lorient. So remember, this season Marseille wants to battle with PSG for the league title. Marseille wants to battle with PSG for the league title, and all these games are games that nobody should miss. Like I said, this season is a season where all players are going to give their best. The reason why players are going to give their best is simple, because this is the last season to the World Cup, the last season to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and all of these players are going to give all their best to be there for the 2026 World Cup. And when you take a look at all the games that are going to be taking place this weekend, it is clear that most of the games are going to be in preparation for the UEFA Champions League that is going to start on Tuesday. Remember, the UEFA Champions League is going to be played on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And when you take a look at the Premier League games that are going to be taking place on Saturday, which is tomorrow, 8 Premier League games are going to be taking place tomorrow, Saturday, and then I think just 2 Premier League games are going to be taking place on Sunday. Manchester City is going to play against Manchester United this weekend, and that is a game that nobody should miss, because when you take a look at the season already, Manchester City is not having a good season. Manchester City is not having a good season. They have already dropped points. They have dropped 6 points already out of 9. They have dropped 6 points out of 9, and when you take a look at Manchester United have dropped 5 points out of 9, because they lost their first game of the season to Arsenal. The second game of the season they played against Manchester United played their second game of the season against Fulham, where they shared points in that game. That was the first point of the season. The third game of the season they played against Burnley and won a game. So Manchester United at this point in time has 4 points out of 9, and this game against Manchester City is a game must win on Sunday, because when you take a look at the last 2 games of Manchester City versus Manchester United, discover that Manchester City did not win any game in their last 2 Premier League games against Manchester United. I mean the whole of last season, because the first game it ended 0-0. The second game, Manchester United won Manchester City 2-0. So those are games that we have to take note of. And when you take a look at all the Premier League games that are going to be taking place on Saturday, which is tomorrow, you'll notice that 8 Premier League games are going to be taking place tomorrow, Saturday, and 2 of those games are going to be played on Sunday. The reason why 8 of these games are going to be taking place tomorrow, Saturday, simple is this: it is simply because of the UEFA Champions League that is going to start on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And when you take a look at the first game of match day 4 in the English Premier League, is that of Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. Remember, Nottingham Forest will be playing this game with their new head coach. They sacked their own coach, Nuno Espirito, and so this game is going to be the first game of Ange Postecoglou as the new head coach of Nottingham Forest, and the guy is determined to win trophies. The guy said it all. He wants to win trophies, and it is going to be a tough game for Arsenal. Remember, Arsenal lost their last game to Liverpool 1-0, so they have 6 points out of 9. And Nottingham Forest at this point in time is also still to suffer a defeat this season. So this game is going to be a game must win for Arsenal, and also a game must win for Nottingham Forest. We even take a look at the Arsenal players during the international break. They had a very good international break. Merino scored 4 goals for Spain. We take a look at even Declan Rice scored a goal. Odinga scored a goal. We also have that of Noni Madueke, who also scored a goal during this international break. So this game is going to be an interesting game. The second Premier League game of the day is that of Bournemouth versus Brighton. Remember, Brighton won Manchester City on Premier League match day 3. Crystal Palace versus Sunderland is also going to be another interesting game to watch. Crystal Palace is still to suffer a defeat this season. Remember, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, and Liverpool are the only 3 Premier League clubs that are still to witness a defeat this season. Everton versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa is still to win a single game this season. Everton won 2 of their 3 games, and Aston Villa is still to win a single game this season. So it is a game must win for Aston Villa, though Everton is playing this game at home, and it is also another game must win because there is already home advantage. There is Fulham versus Leeds United, Newcastle versus Wolverhampton. Newcastle is also still to win a game this season. There is the game of West Ham United versus Tottenham. There is a game of Brentford versus Chelsea. Now, like I said, Chelsea is one of the favorites to win the Premier League this season, so that game is another game for them must win. When you take a look at La Liga match day 4 tomorrow, Saturday, you know that Getafe is going to be playing against Real Oviedo. Real Sociedad versus Real Madrid, which is actually the game of the day. Real Madrid at this point in time has won 3 of their last 3 games, 3 of their 3 La Liga games. Xabi Alonso was awarded La Liga coach of the month of August. So this is the game must win for Real Madrid. This is a game to start the month with, and they must win this game if they want to think of winning many more games ahead, right? There is a game of Atletico Bilbao versus Alaves. Remember, this game of Atletico Bilbao versus Alaves is a preparation game for the Arsenal game in the first UEFA Champions League game of the season. There is Atletico de Madrid versus Villarreal. Remember, Atletico de Madrid is still in search of their first victory of the season, and Villarreal is still in search of their first defeat of the season. So it is going to be a tough game between the 2 clubs. We take a look at the Bundesliga. Like I said in this video, I'm going to break down everything for you guys, and I'm going to be very fast. There is the Borussia Dortmund is also going to be playing on Saturday against Heidenheim, and it is a game must win. We have Freiburg, Stuttgart versus Stuttgart, Mainz versus Leipzig, Union Berlin versus Hoffenheim, Wolfsburg versus Cologne, Bayern Munich versus Hamburger, which is actually the final Bundesliga game of the day, right? And it is a game must win for Bayern Munich. Remember, Bayern Munich is at the top of the Bundesliga table with 6 points out of 6. In terms of goal difference, they are still there with a difference. So it is a game must win for Bayern Munich. When you take a look at the Serie A, 3 Serie A games are going to be taking place tomorrow, Saturday. Cagliari versus Parma is the first Serie A game of Saturday. Juventus versus Inter Milan is actually the game of the weekend in European top 5 leagues. This is a game nobody should miss because all of these 2 clubs are fighting for the league this season. Juventus want to win the league, Inter Milan wants to win the league. Who is going to win the league at the end of the day? This game is going to define. This game is going to answer that question to all of us. Fiorentina versus Napoli is another game of the day, and nobody should miss. It is actually the final Serie A game of Saturday. When you take a look at League 1, 2 League 1 games are going to be taking place on Saturday, which is tomorrow. Nice versus Nantes, Auxerre versus AS Monaco is going to be the final League One game that is going to be taking place tomorrow. And oh my god, they have just cut my light, guys. Let us just manage my touch. The most important thing is the information, not even the video. So when you take a look at the Premier League games that are going to be taking place on Sunday, you notice that 2 Premier League games are going to be taking place on Sunday. Burnley versus Liverpool. So this game is going to be the first game that Alexander Isak is going to be put on the Liverpool jersey after he joined the team. That is after he joined Liverpool on the final day of the summer transfer window. And the final Premier League game of March day 4 is going to be that of Manchester City versus Manchester United, and this game is a game must watch. It is a game nobody should miss because these 2 clubs are still finding their way into this season. Manchester City won just 1 of their 3 Premier League games. Manchester United won just 1 of their 3 Premier League games. So Manchester United has 4 points out of 9. Manchester City has 3 points out of 9. When even take a look at the stats of last season, Manchester City did not win a single game against Manchester United last season. And when you take a look at the La Liga games that are going to be taking place on Sunday, Celta Vigo versus Girona, Levante versus Real Betis, Osasuna versus Rayo Vallecano, Barcelona versus Valencia is the final La Liga game of March day 4, and this game is a game must win for Barcelona. Remember, their first 3 La Liga games have not been good. The first game they played against Mallorca, where they won the game. The second game they played against Levante, they won the game. The third game, Rayo Vallecano, they won the game. Fourth game now against Valencia, it is a game. Sorry, the third game against Rayo Vallecano, they shared points, and this fourth game is a game must win for Barcelona if they want to think of winning trophy this season. Remember, this is going to be the first game of Thiago Alcantara as the assistant coach of Hansi Flick. When you take a look at the Bundesliga games that are going to be taking place tomorrow, just 2 Bundesliga games: St. Pauli against Augsburg, Borussia Mönchengladbach versus Werder Bremen. We take a look at the Serie A games. Remember, this is Serie A March day 3. We take a look at the games that are going to be taking place on Sunday: AS Roma versus Torino, Atalanta versus Leeds, Pisa versus Udinese, Sassuolo versus Lazio, AC Milan versus Bologna. Right? We take a look at that of League One March day 4, final day, which is going to be played on Sunday. It's going to be Lille versus Toulouse, Brest versus Paris FC, Metz versus Angers, PSG versus Lens, Strasbourg versus Le Havre, and Rennes versus Lyon. So those are the games that are going to be taking place today, from Bundesliga to La Liga, from La Liga to Premier League, from Premier League to the Serie A, from the Serie A to League One. So all of these games are going to be taking place this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then on Tuesday, we all are going to start enjoying the UEFA Champions League. So my next video that is going to be coming up is going to be on the UEFA Champions League, which is a video that you guys must watch, guys. So if you have watched the video right up to this level, I will appreciate if you can hit a thumb up to the video, you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and what do you think about this weekend fixtures, the final weekend to the UEFA Champions League. Remember, this is the final season to the 2026 World Cup. Like I said, players are going to give their best this season. So let me know down in the comment section, and which game are you waiting for this weekend.